It's Tuesday, or whatever day that you're watching this, but we go live on Tuesday mornings, and it's spring cleaning. Happy second week of March. Is that where we are? Second week. We're marching right into it. Marching right into spring, marching into 1 year since everything shut down for 2 weeks. Right? That's where we are. And where were you on March 9th this time last year? Outside, with friends, not wearing a mask. Hand sanitizer was that cute thing that you got from Bath & Body Works. All the above. We're here now. Let's dive in. So it is spring cleaning at FWA, and I want to get into some of those hard to reach places, right? The places that we, especially in the last year, have seen every single day, maybe have gotten a little out of hand. I know we've been glued to our devices and our computers, and I want to take some time to refresh those spaces. All right, so here's what prompted this. Over the past year, I don't know if this has been true for you, I kind of did a little bit of a poll on the page last week, just asking people, gauging, what does your email inbox look like? And I didn't really specify if it was total messages or opened or unopened messages, but people kind of responded all across the board with, hey, I have like 50 emails, or hey, we don't talk about it because I turned the notifications off because I no longer want to know. So somewhere in that very large range is where everybody else fell. And in this past year, I know my email inbox has been completely flooded with messages. And I have companies coming out of the woodwork that used to maybe message me like once every other month, like, hey, we're still cool, we have this thing, that now message me like daily, or did until I unsubscribed. I had moments in December, maybe even November, where I just started to hit the unsubscribe button because I was so tired of getting so much email. I don't know if you're in the same boat. It even got to the point, like, I felt like email had become king again, where, you know, because we were trying to limit the number of paper transactions that we were making, and so many companies were like, hey, do you want to go shopping? You're on your computer, might as well, right? That every industry that I worked for or had ever been affiliated with wanted to check in with me. And I got to the point where I felt like even myself, like sending a message every week to people like, hey, let's work out. I was like, I'm over this. So I started just sending one a month. And then I had some people reach out like, hey, are you still teaching? And I'm like, I can't even talk to you right now. Yes, I'm still teaching. But it very quickly made me realize who prioritized email over social media, who didn't even have social media, who was like, what is going on? I need my Monday update. I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you please send me something weekly? So that's what, all of that. So hi, good morning, Kelly. So I just felt ways about email last year, and when I was putting this spring cleaning list together, I was like, let's talk about the inbox. Let's do it. So I'm curious, for if you're listening now or if you're coming back and listening to the replay, what your email inbox looks like. And not just unread messages, although I'd be curious to know the difference, how many unread messages you have and how many total messages you have. And how you feel about that, how that whole environment looks and feels to you. And I want to share some of the things that I've been doing to really take back my email inbox. This sounds like it's not as political as it sounds, to really like keep my inbox clean, because when you have your email inbox like totally cluttered and full of things, and you feel like you might be missing something, that starts to attack your mind. And there's some crazy statistic like we check our email every 6 minutes. And if you are constantly pivoting between doing the things, working, focusing, and checking your email, and you're seeing like all these messages come in and you're having to hit delete, or you're having to like prioritize, what do I look at? It messes with your mind, and it makes you not be able to have focus, and it takes away from what you're doing. Work or personal, Kelly? We're gonna get into that. Absolutely, I want to know both. I want to know both. So, okay. If you're checking your email all the time, you're getting bombarded with messages from companies that you've known since you were 4 years old, that you gave your email to once accidentally because you were, shopping, and you were just like, yes, I want you to have my email. I want to know all of the updates. I want to know all of the sales. Every company that you've ever met has had a sale in the last 6 months, right? Between end of year, pandemic, whatever, every company wants to get to know you again, wants to talk to you again. What do we do? How do we deal with this? So I have like 6 things. First of all, and I feel like every list that I have starts with something like this. Assess. Look at your email inbox or inboxes, and we'll get to that. Who is sending you most of your messages? Do you have 10 or more messages from one particular sender that you... Personal's up there, but I've been unsubscribing. Yes, girl. Do you have 10 messages or more from someone looking for a meeting time with you? We're going to talk about that. Do you get messages from companies that you're no longer interested in? Like, I don't know about you, but I have not bought anything professional or work-related, and I needed to unsubscribe from those companies because in the last year, this is what I wear. This is what I wear. You can't see, but I have slippers on. You have no idea. I just told you, but whatever. It's fine. Do you have messages from 2019 that are honestly no longer relevant? You know what I mean. Since 2019, have you forgotten to respond? Just check. Just notice. Do you have more than 100 messages? Whatever it is, take note of what you have in your inbox and start to understand, where are my messages coming from? Do I have multiple messages that are unopened from a particular sender? Are people just trying to email me to find a meeting time for my 27 Zoom meetings a day? What is it? What is it that you have in your inbox? Okay, so start there. You have to start by investigating and understanding what is in your inbox. If you are like hanging out, watching this, being like, my industry doesn't use email, praise be, go enjoy your coffee, have a great day. But if you're in an industry like me that email is king, and I work remotely from the rest of my colleagues, or I work in education, and there's just a lot. There's a lot. And there are messages sometimes, let me know if this happens to you. There are messages sometimes that I will get the same message from 5 people that forward something to me, which is very kind. I'm so glad that they want to know that I got it. But I get the same messages 5 times, to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to read the message. I'm not going to lie. Probably should, but I don't want to, because 5 of you forwarded it to me. Does that happen to you? It happens to me all the time. Anyway, so we're going to talk about creating a system related to that. So you've looked through your email inbox, you've identified, is this a problem? Do I need to address this? Do I have lots of old messages from a particular sender? What is happening in my email? The first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take a deep breath. Some of you are gonna hate this. You're gonna delete anything that is from 2019 or earlier. Bye. Just gonna delete it. You are, trust me. Things are different now, for better or worse, and clinging to pre-COVID times is not going to help your inbox. If you haven't responded to a message that is from 2019 or earlier, it's irrelevant now. It really is. And we'll get to this if you work for a company that doesn't allow you to email or to delete messages. I've been there. I've done that. Just check them all. Go to sent, go to sent by, go to date sent, and just start deleting. You're gonna feel so much lighter. You're gonna feel so much lighter. If it's related to a project idea that you started in 2019 and you're still working on, we can create a folder for that. But if you haven't responded to something and it has a date of 2019 or earlier, we're pitching it. Like, we are pulling those dresses out of our closet and we're getting rid of it. If it was important, you would have done something with it by now, or moved it to a shared doc or something, right? Something would have been done with it. So we're going to delete anything from 2019 or older. This is if you have a crazy mess in your email inbox. Some of you that checked D or E on my poll, that I was like, do you have more than 500 messages, more than 1,000 messages? This next one, okay, and we'll get at, I think Kelly said something about this. Create more than one email. I have 7. I have 7 email addresses, and each email address has a different function. There's this big, like, inbox zero idea. I don't know if it's still popular. It was definitely popular when I was like first getting into the professional world, like have an email inbox of 0 by the time you leave the day. And I don't know if it's still a really popular thing, but the idea is that you respond to all the messages, you deal with everything that's happening in your inbox. By the end of the day, you leave and your messages are 0 until you come back the next day. And that's like a productive work day. And yeah, if you work primarily in email and you're not taking phone calls or anything else, sure, I can see that. If that is like your obsession and you want to get to that point, one of the quickest ways to do that is to create separate email addresses for different things. So, okay, let me walk you through what I have. I have one for my main nonprofit work. I have one for the school district that I work with. I have one for my other work. So that's 3. I have 3 for just work, for my nonprofit, for my school district, and for fitness. I have 3. So there are 3 very different things, but they're all my work. I have one for stores and companies that are like, oh my gosh, drop your email address. I'm like, yeah, totally. And I don't really check it. It's just there. In case I'm having a day where I'm like, I want a sale, I pop into that email inbox, I check it out. I have one for random junk messages and online orders. I have one for bills and like my financial stuff, and like it's what if people pay me, it goes to, or if I have to pay people, it goes to. And I have one for travel, specifically for travel, because we do a lot of it. So if I separate those emails by tasks or jobs, it helps me find something quickly. It helps me sort through things. It helps me get to a 0 if I'm feeling the need to get to email inbox 0 for work or for whatever it might be. It makes it so much easier if you separate those things and you're not looking in one place for everything. All right. If you're listening to this and you're like, that's really fun, but I cannot delete emails where I work. I worked for companies like that where they wanted us to have messages for documentation purposes for whatever reason. And so I used to create folders. So if I wasn't able to separate the emails, I created folders. I was like, okay, we get a lot of emails from this one particular person. Gonna create a folder and send everything to there. Bonus, if you can go in and create a filter so that anything from that sender automatically goes into that message folder, your workload has it's been made so much better. So that's one thing. If you can't delete everything, delete in batches. Go to senders that you know, like, oh yeah, I signed up for this motivational thing and I don't read it every day. To start to delete it, and then unsubscribe so you don't get any more. Unsubscribe first and then start to delete it. So you can delete in batches. So you're either if you want to really get to a point where you are managing your email, you can create separate email addresses and have each one have a separate function. You can delete stuff in batches. You can put in that search box, and if you have Outlook, I'm sorry, it makes it so much more complicated. It's getting better, but it's the worst. I think it's the worst. Sometimes it hides things. I don't know why it does this. Whatever, Microsoft. You can put in the search field, particular sender and categorize and throw those into folders, or take the moment and delete. This is especially true. Like, I get a lot of emails from vendors that I don't care about and I don't want to read. And I just delete them. I feel like I've unsubscribed a million times, but they still come back. Okay, pet peeve. You know when you unsubscribe and it's like, it's gonna take 72 hours to get you off our list. And I'm like, and they're like, sorry if we send anything in that time. And I'm like, what? I unsubscribed. Anyway, pet peeve. Let me know if that happens to you. Okay, so you're either gonna create separate email addresses, you're gonna batch delete things, or if you must keep everything, you're gonna start organizing things into folders by sender, by event. When I worked for a certain company, I would create folders. I actually had folders by colleague, by like a person, or by event. And that seemed to keep everything pretty good. That way I could go into that folder and look for particular things that I needed. And that was a really good way to keep my main inbox empty. All right. The other thing is if you find in your investigation, which is the first step, that a lot of people are trying to schedule meetings with you via email, we're going to stop doing that. And we're going to use a scheduling tool. So if people reach out to you and they're like, hey, let's schedule a meeting. And all of a sudden you have 10 messages back and forth because you're like, no, I can't do Friday at 10. How about Tuesday at 4? And you're like, what is this? Using a scheduling tool like Calendly allows you at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the month to go in and write down, okay, these are the times that people can meet with me. And I'm going to send this link out and then let that person pick. So you've already identified these are meeting times. Here's the link to schedule a meeting with me. Pick something like this, and it puts the power in their hands. They schedule it. It goes into your calendar. You're done. So if you're finding that a lot of your messages are trying to just schedule meetings, use a scheduling tool. I use Calendly. It has saved so much back and forth. You just put out there the times that you can meet. The other person picks what works best for their schedule. You have a meeting. No emails had to go back and forth. It is truly one of the most amazing things I've ever done. It's a good way, especially if, again, you're trying to use email to create a meeting, which is crazy. We've really started at one of the places that I work using the chat feature over emails, which I really prefer as well. If you have an option to chat to get quick things established, and so you don't have to go back and forth with emails as much, use a chat function if you're able to with some of your colleagues. Make use of something like Calendly. Those tools can really save your email inbox and stop you from having all that clutter and having to go back and be like, did I do that? Did we work on that? Did that happen? And you can just delete those. So those are my tips. If anything is super urgent, of course, stop emailing, pick up the phone and call. I know it seems so old-fashioned, but it will really get something done much more quickly. All right, are you ready? Spring clean your inbox. Let's go. Let's do it. I hope you're not terrified. It will help to really ease the mental clutter because it really does start to weigh down on you when you feel like you have so many messages that you haven't responded to. So let's do it. Let's lighten the load. Let's clean the inbox. If you were waiting for a time or a message or a sign, this is it. Go do it. Go do the things. All right, we'll be back for another spring cleaning message next week. But until then, I would love to know how that inbox is looking. Bye.